good? Whew. All right, guys. This time, I actually mean to be going live. Had a little bit of an issue earlier. Glad you guys stuck with me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this post-game coverage of Believers Talk. We're going to talk about the game yesterday. Man, I'm watching some Sunday football, some Sunday playoff action. Hey, Ruben, glad that you are in the chat. And, it feels so good to have played on Saturday and to know that we don't have to worry about anything right now. Hey, Joseph, how you doing? Glad to see you in the chat room as well. Guys, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. My name is Joe. If you're new to this channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button for continual Buffalo Bills news. For Buffalo's in the house. Buffalo Bills fan is 27-17. I hope you guys are enjoying the Saints versus Bears game. Some ugly football played in the NFC. But this Nickelodeon coverage is kind of fun. I'm not going to lie. They're having a good time. Bills are good. Bills versus Steelers in the divisional round, says OG2K. We're not sure yet who the Buffalo Bills will play in the divisional round. The Pittsburgh Steelers play the Cleveland Browns tonight. If the Browns win, we play the Baltimore Ravens. With the Baltimore Ravens win over the Tennessee Titans earlier today. If the Pittsburgh Steelers win, the Steelers come to Buffalo, and we play the Steelers once again. It is the Steelers or the Ravens. Elliot, glad to see you in the house. Good to see you. Joseph Rodriguez is so happy. I think that is the sentiment of a lot of us here as the second game of the day hits halftime. Just happy. And, listen, we're going to talk Happy Victory Sunday to you as well. Daniel, Steelers, please, says Elliot. Listen, I don't care if it's the Steelers or the Ravens. I think the Buffalo Bills. Listen, the Buffalo Bills know that they have corrections to make after yesterday's game. And we're going to talk about them. But one thing I want to be clear about, and I said this yesterday during the live stream twice, 3 times, I forget how many times. In the playoffs, it's not always easy. In the playoffs, it's not always pretty. But in the playoffs, all that matters is winning, moving forward. I think someone posted on Twitter about the 1992 Buffalo Bills team. They won that AFC Championship game against the Denver Broncos 10-3, okay? And the touchdown, I'm sorry, 10-7. And the touchdown was a pick 6, okay? So obviously our offense didn't do much in that game. So let's stop saying, oh, look at this team, they're a bunch of bums. No, all that matters is advancing. And remember, we're playing against playoff teams too, so let's not act like these are not good teams. Cheers to you, Elliot. I like the smiley faces. Happy Victory Sunday to you as well. And again, guys, thank you for joining me on Believers Talk. Again, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Geek Squad says it right. A win is a win. The Chiefs didn't look great in the Super Bowl win last year, but guess what? They got the job done. And at the end of the day, they still had a parade. And I can't wait for that parade in Buffalo, and I hope you guys are looking forward to that as well. But again, guys, we are going to talk about this game. There were some issues that the Bills had in this game, stopping some of the Colts' weapons. I think one thing that was really in the Bills' favor is I really believe that Coach McDermott outcoached Frank Reich in this game. Listen, I love Frank Reich. I still have that come from behind win on DVD. I still watch it on a regular basis during the off season. But yesterday, Frank Reich and I were not friends. All right, yesterday we wanted to win, and Coach McDermott outcoached Frank Reich. How is that fumble not a fumble? No idea. Daniel Gonzalez, the Bills played about a grade C game. The Colts played about a grade A- game, and Buffalo still found a way to win. Father Snowman, glad that you are in the house. And I said this all day yesterday too, after the game. The Bills played the Colts game. The Colts played the game they wanted to play. The Bills played the Colts game, and the Bills still won. So that should tell you something about this team. The McDermott coached a good game. I completely agree with you. Can't say the same thing about Brian Dable. Maybe you can't even say the same thing about Leslie Frazier. But Coach McDermott, I thought, did a great job. So let's go over some things from this game. Like I said, we're going to talk about the good and we're going to talk about the bad. Again, thank you for joining me on this edition of Believers Talk. Guys, I will be live next week. We're still not sure when the Buffalo Bills will be playing next week, Saturday or Sunday. Remember, the divisional round, they have 2 games on each day. So Saturday we'll have 2 games, and then Sunday we'll have 2 games. Normally, I believe they have 1 AFC, 1 NFC on both days, but don't quote me on that. You never know when the NFL is going to switch things up. But let's talk about some of the things that I want to talk about from this game. Give me 1 second here. And, we're going to start off with the negatives. The negatives from this game. So when I talk about the negatives, I want to talk about some of these players that really the Bills weren't planning for, right? That the Bills did not scheme for, that had great days for the Indianapolis Colts. Listen, coming into this game, everyone was talking about running back Jonathan Taylor, right? What will Jonathan Taylor do? Just had 200 yards in the game week 17 against the Jaguars. Everyone's worried about Jonathan Taylor. No one's worried about that guy right there. That guy right there. You're talking about Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines had an amazing day for the Indianapolis Colts. Ravens did good today, says Father Snowman. What's up, Bills Mafia? Hey, Brian, glad to see you in the house. If KC loses next week, we got all home games. Very true. But listen, Nyheim Hines, 6 carries, 75 yards. Everyone wants to talk about what we did against Jonathan Taylor. You see Jonathan Taylor 21 for 78 yards. That looks really good. And you're talking about 3.7 yards per carry average. That's really good. We contained him. But at the same time, we did not contain Hines at all. Okay, so if you put their stats together, you're talking 27 carries, 163 yards. You're talking about 6.03 over 6 yards per carry. That's not normally going to get the job done. Now, the good news is, hey, Garrett, glad to see you in the chat. The good news is if we play a team like the Steelers not exactly known for the run game. However, at the same time, if you play a team like Baltimore, there could be some issues, okay? Baltimore runs the ball very effectively. You saw that today with Lamar Jackson, okay? So our linebackers are going to have to do a better job. Our defensive tackles, Ed Oliver, Mario Addison, whoever it is, need to do a better job of creating holes, making guys double team them, and the linebackers are going to have to have gap integrity and hit those gaps hard against a team like the Baltimore Ravens. Again, the Steelers have a hard time running the ball, or have had a hard time running the ball this season, so not sure what to expect from them if they are to advance. But you have to look at Hines, and he had a stellar day. I'm actually, and I talked about this yesterday during live stream, I'm surprised that the Colts did not use Hines a little bit more. Seemed like Hines would have a 20 to 30 yard run, and then they'd take him out and put Taylor back in. Hines was doing his thing. In fact, I believe there are at least 1 or 2 plays where you see Hines getting taken off the field, and he's shaking his head, saying that basically saying he should not be taken off the field. And I would agree with them. I think that he had a great game yesterday, and I think that's something that should concern the Buffalo Bills moving forward when it comes to stopping the running attack. I think when you look at this defense, there's been a debate. Listen, I watched Buffalo Fanatics earlier today. They did a great job, had a great show, and Rico wanted to talk about this defense and how fans are poo-pooing on this defense, and they deserve more credit. There's one thing this defense can do, and that's there's only one thing this defense can stop. It happened in the Kansas City game. We were worried about stopping the pass, and we did a pretty good job stopping the pass, right? But what happened? Over 250 rushing yards in that game. We get smoked. We wanted to stop Derrick Henry against Tennessee. We did. Ryan Tannehill goes off, has a day, we get smoked. It seems to be a consistent pattern. When a team has an obvious strength, the Buffalo Bills can stop it. They can. They do a good job. But at what cost? See, the cost in this game was stopping Jonathan Taylor, that bruising back, that guy who can find the lane, but isn't exactly that speed guy. So what happened with Nyheim Hines? Oh, he took care of it. He took care of business. And again, I'm surprised the Colts did not use him more. Garrett Hall, RD, play like they did yesterday. We will not win against the Chiefs. I think it's more important how well our offense will play compared to our defense. And I do want to point out this question. I want this question to be asked, and I want you guys to give me an answer in the comment section. Listen, I am always a get the ball at halftime guy. If we win the coin toss, I am a defer type guy every single time. But that really hurt us yesterday. You talk about the beginning of that game, you talk about the field position that the Colts had, the field position advantage the Colts had over the Buffalo Bills. And it makes me wonder, should the Bills start with the ball? You talk about Andre Roberts getting that spark going early for the Buffalo Bills. Plenty of games this year where the Bills got the ball first, and he was that spark plug. Boom, right off the bat, right? He didn't have that in this game. So is there something to the Buffalo Bills winning a coin toss and saying, no, we want the ball? We want the ball first. We want offense to go out there and shove it down your throat immediately. I'm just asking you guys, what do you guys think? The Bills are no good at running the ball. They are very good at passing to Daniel Gowries, and that's something that has to change as well. We will be talking about that in a minute. Geek Squad, is Starla Toure coming back next season, or is he a free agent? He opted out this season, so he opted out this season. For anyone who opted out, any players that opted out this season, your contract was pretty much frozen at that time. So however many years he had left on his contract at the beginning of the 2020 season is exactly how many years he's going to have on his contract at the beginning of the 2021 season. Think of it as this. Sure, passing the ball is working, but when teams start picking up on the passing attack without a good run game, it gets real tough. And you have to be able to use that play action, right? You have to be able to set up the pass with the run. I mean, I feel like the Buffalo Bills do it opposite of how it's normally done. But at the same time, it's working, right? Josh Allen is still getting the job done. Did they announce if we have a Saturday or Sunday game? They have not announced that as of yet. Every game opponent is different. Correct. Every game opponent is different. You have to scheme for them differently. We saw how the Bills did against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football, Week 14. That was pretty impressive. Hopefully, if we play the Steelers again, we have that type of performance. But still, Nyheim Hines definitely got the job done for the Colts. Still not sure why they didn't play him more in this game. Moving on to our next slide. That's not showing up for some reason, so never mind. That's not it. Hold on. Good job, Joe. There's the running backs. Let's talk about Michael Pittman, okay? Michael Pittman, again, another guy that had a day against our Buffalo Bills. See, I try to use graphics, doesn't work. I don't know what's going on. But Michael Pittman, you're talking about 5 catches, 90 yards. This Buffalo Bills defense, and Trey White deserves more credit than he's getting, really shut down T.Y. Hilton. You want to talk about a superstar. T.Y. Hilton is a superstar who has not had that type of season. But T.Y. Hilton had the first catch of this game for the Indianapolis Colts. The first catch of this game, and then he was held to 1 catch the rest of the way. Did a really great job. No matter what, we excel during the passing game, even if they know it's coming, says Mr. Roller Coaster. But you still need to be able to run the football in pressure times. Listen, again, and this is where the Bills did it well. That Steelers game, Week 14, we get the ball up by, 9? We're up 2 scores, but less than 14. There's 7 minutes and 11 seconds left. If the Steelers get a stop, there's still time. There's still time. But what does Zach Moss do? He puts an end to it. And to Zach Moss's credit, before he got injured, he was beginning to heat up. Now, it was in the passing game, in the screen game. I think he had 3 screen passes in a row where he gained 5, 6, 7 yards. So he was beginning to heat up right before that injury. However, of course, he gets hurt, and the rest is history. So you look at Michael Pittman. I wish I did. I'll get to the running game, guys. Like I said, I will get to that. Michael Pittman, whoever was on him, whether it be, and I know that Trey White was on Michael Pittman for a portion of this game, okay? So this does go on Trey White as well. But whether it be Josh Norman, whether it be Levi Wallace, these guys need to do a better job against the secondary receivers, okay? I mean, you talk about the Steelers team that we might play. They have a pretty good wide receiving core, right? A pretty good wide receiving core when you're talking about Juju Smith-Schuster, who probably won't be dancing on our logo come next week. When you talk about Claypool, who is doing a great job, having a great rookie season, probably one of the only 1 or 2 wide receivers having a better rookie season than Gabriel Davis. Chase Claypool having a great year so far. Eric Ebron, we're going to talk about the tight ends next. In fact, let me bring that up. Doyle had a big day as well in the receiving game, and that just is not good for the Buffalo Bills. Again, when you talk about stopping just one thing, and it's that running attack, and you try to focus on that, all of a sudden your tight ends get open in the middle of the field. Or on this particular play, the one over here, wide open down the field to score that touchdown to bring them back within one score. Wide open. I don't understand how he gets that open. Again, I'm not sure who was to blame for that, whether it was Matt Milano, but it looked like they were in zone, right? So I've watched this play 3 or 4 times. You see Milano come out to the flat. Now there's no one out there, but how does Milano know that before the play starts? He might be looking for a running back coming out in the flat, so he has Doyle to a certain point, and then you see Trey White and the safety both go with Pittman, and that leaves Doyle wide open down the sideline. I'm still not sure who is to blame for that, but I know Leslie Frazier knows who's to blame for that, so I really hope that he takes care of that in practice. It's fun talking about the playoffs at this time of year. Normally we'd be talking about off-season stuff. Yeah, we have no reason to talk about that. You know, Dolphins fans are excited about the chance of trading for Deshaun Watson. We don't have to worry about any of that. We're not there yet. We're talking about Super Bowl, and that's fun for me. Hit that like button. Yeah, absolutely, Bob. Thanks a lot. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button. Really do appreciate it. And again, if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. Whether we play Saturday next week or Sunday, I will be live. And if you guys joined me live yesterday for live play-by-play reaction, you know how emotional, how excited, how awesome it is just to be together as a Buffalo fan base and be able to enjoy the game together. So make sure you join me. If you didn't join me yesterday, join me next week for the division round game, whether we play the Steelers or we play the Ravens. It's going to be a good time. On the wide open Colts tee, it looked like Milano blew it, or he thought he had help. Right, and that's the question. Was he supposed to have help? Because Trey White's on the outside, and when Milano goes into the flat, Doyle goes past him. Trey White follows Pittman, but Pittman is also covered. I forget if it was Poyer or Hyde who was right there over top, but Poyer and Hyde are both right there. So was Trey White supposed to stick to the sideline, or was it Milano's job? Listen, if it was Milano's job to run with Doyle, Doyle probably gets open anyway, okay? Because he's a really good tight end. And when you talk about tight end play, there's a lot of really good tight ends left in the playoffs. You got Travis Kelce, does a pretty good job. The Steelers, you got Eric Ebron, he's pretty good. The Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews, also a very good tight end. So you got a lot of good, even if the Browns upset the Steelers later, you got Njoku, you got some good tight ends there. So the tight end position is going to be a huge key the rest of the way for this Buffalo Bills defense. Listen, the Buffalo Bills are the team with the worst tight ends out of anyone left in the playoffs. So the tight end position is going to be huge defending that. Our linebackers need to do a better job. That's just the bottom line. They need to do a better job in the run defense. They need to do a better job in gap integrity. They need to do a better job, following tight ends or slot receivers coming out of the snap, coming out of their breaks. They need to do a better job. That's all I'm saying. But still, like I said, guys, and we'll talk about this a little bit more too, a win is a win, okay? Especially when it comes to the playoffs. We're going to take them however we can get them. The game is back on here. Third quarter underway. The Saints up on the Bears 7-3. Pretty ugly football, though, if you ask me. I am enjoying the Nickelodeon coverage, however. I think that's pretty cool. So, and normally we would be out of the playoffs and talking about what free agents to sign, etc. And again, free agent shouldn't be a worry for the Buffalo Bills just because of the lack of money that we have. So coming into the off season. So now let's talk about the thing that we started to talk about a little bit, and that's these two guys right here. Zach Moss, and again, Zach Moss gets injured in this game, is going to miss some time. So now the debate begins. Do you play Antonio Williams, who played in the second half of Week 17 and looked like a man who had something to prove, or do you play TJ Yeldon, or do you try to find a way? And again, they talked about this on Buffalo Fanatics' post-game earlier today. Do you try to find a way to get them both on the roster? Listen, Singletary is going to be there, whether you like it or not. Singletary is going to be there, but who is going to be that number 2 back? But again, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, and listen, I still think we ran, if you want to talk about this run game overall, we still ran Josh Allen on designed runs way too much. way too much. Josh Allen should, again, and this has happened 3, 4, maybe even 5 times this season, Josh Allen has led this team in rushing attempts, and that should never happen. Should never happen. So Josh Allen, 11 rush attempts, 54 yards, had that touchdown, of course. Zach Moss, 7 for 21. Devin Singletary only had 3 rushing attempts. And listen, Devin Singletary, 3 rushing attempts for 21 yards. He still averaged 7 yards a carry. Now, most of that was on a 13-yard run, but still averaging 7 yards a carry. So how can you say Devin Singletary isn't doing a good job if you're not giving him the carries? You're not giving him any carries. Devin Singletary also had 3 catches for 23 yards in this game. And like I said, Zach Moss, 4 catches for 26 yards. He was heating up there towards the end. Williams is quick, but Yeldon catch the ball in the backfield. And Yeldon knows how to look out for the blitzes, too. And I think that's an underrated thing when you're talking about the running backs. How well does Antonio Williams know how to pick up the blitz? We didn't see that much in Week 17, right? So how much does he know how to pick up the blitz? We know that TJ Yeldon would be able to do that because he's had experience in the NFL doing that. So that matters as well when you talk about who are the Buffalo. Because the Steelers team, they're going to blitz. And their front four can get pressure on you, right? We talk about how Johnson did a great job against T.J. Watt when we played in Week 14. That means T.J. Watt's going to come out with something to prove if we play them in the next round of the playoffs. So you hope that you have someone there. You know, you'll have Lee Smith there to chip them a little bit, but you also want your running back to be there to either chip them or to give that double team if needed as well. So that's something that needs to be considered when talking about another running back or getting another running back in there. But that's the question right now. Who's going to come in for Zach Moss? Because it definitely looks like Zach Moss is going to miss some time. Obviously, we hope for a speedy recovery. We're not giving up on Zach Moss. Rookie season, he will be on this team next season. Will Devin Singletary still be here next year? I think so. I still think this will be our two running backs coming into the 2021 season, but that's for a different discussion for a different day. Right now, we're talking about the playoffs, and these guys need to do a better job. The Bills need to be able to run the ball in stress situations. Again, you talk about 90-plus rushing yards. Sounds good, but most of that from your quarterback. So I really need to see more from Devin Singletary. I need to see more now from TJ Yeldon or Williams, whoever it is. I need to see more from that unit. Run backs also need help from the O-line. Run blocking can be sloppy at times. No, the run blocking, and we talked about this during the live stream yesterday as well. Some people blame the running backs. Some people blame the offensive line. Some people blame both. Some people in Bills Mafia just like to complain, okay? And this offensive line does need to do a better job when it comes to run blocking. It's just facts, okay? When you don't have any holes to go through, there's going to be very little room. There's going to be very little yards after contact because these defenders are winning the line of scrimmage. We saw it yesterday for Josh Allen too. Listen, Josh Allen was under pressure a lot yesterday. Had to move his feet, move out of the pocket, roll to the right. A few times he rolled to the left. Got sacked twice in the game. I really think that the Buffalo Bills offensive line needs to show up in this next game. I don't think yesterday was one of the better games for this offensive line, so really want to see him show up in the next game and improve in that. Because this offensive line overall for the season hasn't been that bad. I think they've been pretty good overall consistently, but yesterday just was not one of their better games. Williams scored 2 touchdowns against the Dolphins last week. He did. Williams had a great second half last week, so you can't be upset about that. I miss Quentin Spain. I know a lot of people miss Quentin Spain right now. Who do I think is going to be the backup running back? And Buffalo Fanatics did this earlier today, and I thought this was a lot of fun. So when you're talking about the next running back up, right? Obviously Zach Moss is out. I would love to see the Buffalo Bills get both TJ Yeldon and Antonio Williams in this game. The problem is then, who do you drop? Now, I look at the offensive line. I look at Ty and Secchi. I look at a couple players on the offensive line and say, well, you could do that. However, that really leaves you thin then at the offensive line position. That's not a position you really want to be thin at, but Ty Nsekhe really didn't contribute much yesterday, so you could definitely take it out of there. You look at the defensive backs. I think we carried 9 defensive backs yesterday, but again, it depends who you play. If you play the Steelers, you want more defensive backs in there just because of their weapons, right? The Ravens, you have Hollywood Brown. That's it. I'm not too worried about the rest of the Ravens wide receiving core. So we'll see what happens with the unsportsmanlike conduct penalties in the game. Still 7-3, 11:44 to go in the third quarter. The New Orleans Saints and Chicago Bears game. I believe the Colts defense were the toughest defense we will face this Father Snowman. I don't know. This Steelers defense can get after it. The Steelers defense can still be nasty. We'll see more tonight when they play the Browns. But if I were choosing, I would choose TJ Yeldon. If I was choosing and I could only choose one, I would choose TJ Yeldon. Again, better out of the backfield, and we've seen that the Bills like using the wide receivers as pass catchers. Now listen, there's also something to be said for sitting Tywan Jones. Tywan Jones had a chance for a touchdown week 17, wide open, and he dropped it. So if our offensive production becomes more important than our special teams, listen, you could have Tyler Bass kick it out of the end zone every single time, and he could do it. So if you do that, then Tywan Jones becomes expendable. Now, punt coverage becomes a different story, but Bojorquez has done a great job this season overall. Again, a couple missteps here and there, but overall, Bojo, great job this season for the Buffalo Bills. So you have to have faith in him to continue with that. It might be good for the Bills to face a test like that game. It's been pretty easy for them lately. And Seth's also bringing up a good point about them being tested. You know, again, the Buffalo Bills are going to look at this film and be like, man, there's plenty of places where we can improve. Andre Roberts has not had back-to-back bad games. Andre Roberts had a bad game yesterday. So to see what he might be able to do next week is going to be fun for me. I think that's going to be a huge factor. Isaiah McKenzie was a complete no-show. John Brown was in the game, and he seemed like a no-show. So there are lots of opportunities for this Buffalo Bills team to improve still on what was a pretty good outing for this offense. 27 points against the Colts defense. That's more than they averaged all season long. So this offense still did a pretty good job overall. I was impressed with the Colts O-line and D-line. The Bills O&D lines, not so much. That was a problem all day. Again, how can you not get any pressure on Phillip Rivers? He's a statue. If you can't get pressure on Phillip Rivers, how are you going to do against Lamar Jackson? How are you going to do against Patrick Mahomes? There are going to be problems, okay? Now, we didn't send too many blitzes yesterday. Obviously, if you play Lamar Jackson, you play Patrick Mahomes, you're going to mix up some blitz packages in there. But, man, if you can't get pressure on Phillip Rivers, then it's going to be a hard time talking about Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Gabe Davis, our new number 2. Will we call up Antonio Williams with Moss out? Again, I would call up TJ Yeldon if I only had to call up one. But I would love to call up both of them and then sit maybe Ty Nsekhe, maybe even sit Harrison Phillips. I don't know. There's some things to discuss. Why do we even have tight ends? The only tight end, listen, Dawson Knox caught every pass that went his way yesterday, first of all. Second of all, Lee Smith has not had that bad of a season. If you watch Lee Smith blocking, he's done a great job for the Buffalo Bills. We bring in Lee Smith to block, and he's done a great job doing that this season so far. Reggie Gilliam, not sure what's going on with him. Have not seen too much out of him. So maybe that's where you bring in TJ Yeldon and sit Reggie Gilliam. That's a possibility as well. Hey, Ing Buffalo sports fan, I know you're excited. I'm excited too. Dan Gowrie says it on nail on the head. John Brown, 0 catches on 4 targets. And remember that one that went right through his hands? Right through his hands, tipped, deflected in the air. Luckily, there was not a Colts player behind him. St. Lamont joining us. How you doing? Hey, from Alaska. Good to see you. Having our first playoff win in 25 years. I sobbed for 10 minutes after we went final. Guys, you saw me crying a little bit yesterday on the stream. As soon as I shut off the stream, hat went straight down to my face, and it took me a minute, right? It took me a few minutes to recompose myself and get ready for the 4 o'clock game. but it was definitely awesome to be a part of that moment and to share that moment with so many of you. And again, thank you so much for joining me yesterday on this live stream as we watched the Buffalo Bills defeat the Indianapolis Colts. Again, if you didn't join me yesterday, join me next week as we look to advance to the AFC Championship game, as our Buffalo Bills will play either the Baltimore Ravens or the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you just joined me, hit that thumbs up button, guys. I really do appreciate it. So we talked about the bad. Now it's time to get into some of the good from yesterday's game, and you have to start all of the conversations. If you're a member of Bills Mafia, if you have watched these Buffalo Bills all season long, all the conversations of what's been good, what's been different about this Buffalo Bills team, you have to start with our quarterback. You have to start with our leader, and that's Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 26 of 35 yesterday, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 rushes, 54 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown as well. The first player in NFL history to throw over 74% completion percentage, over 320 yards, and also have a rushing touchdown in a playoff game. You cannot talk highly enough about Josh Allen. Listen, Nick Wright on his Twitter feed wants to talk about that fumble, and that fumble is an issue. So many issues with him fumbling the ball, and I said this yesterday during a live stream, and I mean it. At this point, you have to think that's going to be an issue that's going to plague him for the rest of his career, okay? It's becoming an issue, or it is still an issue, okay? He had 10 fumbles during the regular season. Hey, Anthony Smelly, glad to see you in here for this post-game talk about the Buffalo Bills. Again, the game the Bills win 27-24. And I'll talk all day about what the Bills didn't do right, but at the end of the day, like I said, in the playoffs, winning is all that matters. Winning is all that matters. As long as you're holding up that Lombardi trophy at the end of the day, people are not going to care how it happened. Too many designed QB runs. I agree with you, Chuck, and I said that he should never be the guy leading in rushing attempts for this team. That should never happen. And I fear it's going to happen again next week. With Zach Moss out, I fear that's going to happen. And it wasn't like there were a lot of RPOs, right, where Allen decided to keep it when he had an option to hand it off to one of the running backs. No. In fact, there were very few jet sweeps in this game. Actually, there were none. Again, Isaiah McKenzie, don't know where he was this entire game. No jet sweeps. That's something that we're very much used to for this Buffalo Bills team. Not sure if Brian Dable came into this game with the desire of giving future teams something else to look at, but we definitely did, because normally we would run Isaiah McKenzie jet sweeps. We would run McKenzie in motion a whole bunch. In fact, I believe during one of the games they said that Isaiah McKenzie has been in motion for over 50% of the offensive snaps for the Buffalo Bills. So, you look at those numbers and you say, wow, where was he yesterday? So that'd be interesting. Bass making history with the first. You want to talk about Tyler Bass? You want to talk about Tyler Bass? Listen, guys, if you want to talk about some Tyler Bass, we can talk about some Tyler Bass, okay? If you have been with me all season long, you know I love this kid. I love this kid. During the offseason, before the season began, when there was a competition between Stephen Hauschka and Tyler Bass, I said I wanted Stephen Hauschka. Veteran guy. He did really good in the Texans game last year to end the season, that playoff game. I wanted him. But I also said, if we stick with Tyler Bass, we need to be ready for some rookie mistakes. And what happened the first 2-3 weeks of the season? He missed 2, actually only missed 1, but got counted as 2 against the Jets. I said, hold on, let's calm down. He'll figure it out. People were going nuts. Scott Blakely, I don't know if you're in the house, you were the leader of the pack, saying he's got to go. One of the guys from Buffalo Fanatics said he was on Tyler Bass like it was no one's business. I was saying, guys, he's a rookie. Relax. He'll get the job done. And what happened yesterday? What's happened since week 10 of this season? He's gotten the job done. 54-yard field goal, longest field goal in playoff history by a rookie kicker. Tyler Bass is going to be the Bills' kicker for a long time to come, breaking Steve Christie's record for most points by a Buffalo Bill. Bass got swag. You have to love that swag too. He makes that field goal and he leaps up and he knows what's going on. He knows what he just did, and that ends up being the game-winning field goal. Tyler Bass is excitable. He's a Buffalo Bill through and through. He's a Buffalo Bill through and through. He is one of my favorite players on this team right now. I'm very excited to have Tyler Bass as a Buffalo Bill. Spin says I defended him since week 1. Lamar proved it can work, Joe. It won them the game. Josh should run when necessary, but decisions need to be made. Listen, Father Snowman, one person who I want to bring to everyone's attention is Cam Newton. Cam Newton proved that you can get it done until the Super Bowl, right? Now, one thing I did, and saying, Lamont, I see your $9.99 donation. I appreciate that, or super chat, I should say, and I'll get to you in a second. So before the 2018 NFL Draft, I broke down these quarterbacks, and I actually, I'll admit this. I had Josh Allen as my 7th ranked quarterback in the 2018 NFL Draft. Why? Because I personally do not like quarterbacks that run first and pass later. Do you want to know why? Because out of the top 5 in NFL history, the top 5 rushing quarterbacks, you add them all up, they have 1 Super Bowl win. Russell Wilson, 1 Super Bowl win. Okay? You take the top 5 in passing yards, and you have like 17 Super Bowls. A quarterback's job is to pass the ball. And why do I bring up Cam Newton? Cam Newton, believe it or not, Cam Newton's only been in the NFL for 9 seasons. 9 seasons. And does he look like a starting quarterback now? No, because he's so beat up. He's so beat up from the way the Carolina Panthers kept using him and how he kept taking those hits. Lamar Jackson has proven that you can get done once out of every 3 playoff games. Let's see if that continues moving forward. That's what I want to see. Say, Lamont, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Beer on me the next game, Joe. Let's go, Buffalo. I'll be sure to use that. Hey, as I said yesterday, I need more wine, so I'll definitely be using that and getting some more for the next game. But again, thank you so much for the $9.99 donation. And we'll have a good time next week. No matter what happens, we'll have a good time watching our Buffalo Bills hopefully advance to the AFC Championship game. But yeah, you can't say enough about Tyler Bass. Rookies always struggle some, especially kickers, which is all about confidence. And listen, guys, I'm still going to say this, and I hope it doesn't come to fruition, but I'm still going to say Tyler Bass might still miss a crucial kick in the next few weeks. And Bills fans are going to be mad. And I understand that. But this guy is still our guy. This is the guy you want to take with you till his leg runs out. A car accident nearly paralyzed Cam Newton, affected his career and spin. You have to agree with that as well. It isn't the years, it's the mileage. Right. And listen, something else about Lamar Jackson that he does better than Josh Allen, at least now, is he slides. How many unnecessary hits did Josh Allen take yesterday? Just including the fumble. Okay? When Josh Allen's about to get sacked, he always, listen, and it works sometimes. You talk about a touchdown pass to Dawson Knox, right? He fights off the guy who's trying to tackle him on his legs, and he doesn't even get, and this is how great Josh Allen's arm is. His legs are completely wrapped up. He doesn't step into the throw at all. He basically shot puts the ball to Dawson Knox, and it still gets there. It's incredible. It's fun to watch. It's cool to see. But how long is that going to be available? That's horrible in this game. I'm really not watching too much, obviously. But again, I'm still loving this Nickelodeon coverage. I mean, I don't know. I was very skeptical going into it, and I still am. I don't know why it's on Nickelodeon, but it's definitely fun to watch. But anyhow, again, guys, thank you for joining me on this edition of Billievers Talk. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button, please be sure to do that. It really helps out the channel. I really do appreciate it. Saints and Bears game is a joke. But anyway, so yeah, obviously Tyler Bass, again, still, in my opinion, might make a mistake or two down the line here. Might miss a crucial kick that might even end the Bills season. But this is the guy that I want on the Buffalo Bills for a long time to come. And then, as I've been saying, guys, all that matters is the next round, right? All that matters, it doesn't always matter how you get there. All that matters is that you get there. And now the Buffalo Bills are in the divisional round of the AFC playoffs. One not done is a great way to put it. this Buffalo Bills team is something special. And, at the beginning of this season, as the Saints score Murray's 6-yard touchdown reception to put this one at 13-3. But at the beginning of the season, we talked about rest were horrible yesterday. We'll talk about that fumble in a second. We talked about the expectations for this Buffalo Bills team. And one of the expectations was winning the division. The next expectation was winning a home playoff game. We did it. We've done that, okay? But as the season has worn on, as we've watched this team, as we've watched Josh Allen grow before our eyes, as we watched Coach McDermott. And one thing that's really not getting talked about that much, we talked a little bit in the beginning about how Coach McDermott outcoached Frank Reich. You want to talk about Coach McDermott's time management? A much better job than Frank Reich, obviously. But how about calling that timeout so that they would review that fumble? How about calling that timeout earlier than I would have in the first half to leave time on the clock after we stopped the Colts on 4th and 4 to go downfield and get a touchdown? A lot of teams, 96 yards to go, a minute 53, you're thinking, okay, 2 timeouts, we can get into field goal range. The Bills weren't thinking field goal, and you could tell that the whole time. That's the offense I want to see more often. I mean, I hope someone tells Brian Dable, imagine there's only 2 minutes left and you only have 2 timeouts the rest of the way, okay? Because that drive was amazing. So I want to see more of that. The non-fumble fumble. Patriots won some ugly games in the past too. Absolutely, yes. Love seeing the Titans lose, says Brian Converse. I didn't care. As I said when I was on Buffalo Fanatics' post-game, we'll beat anybody. I don't care if the Browns win tonight. I don't care if the Steelers win tonight. We're going to beat anybody. Next week, I like the Bills' chances. I don't care who we play. Even if we were going against the Chiefs, I like the Bills' chances next week, no matter who it is. But anyhow, as the season wore on, we were like, this team's an AFC Championship / Super Bowl contender. Absolutely. So our expectations have been risen. But when you talk about our preseason expectations, guys, they've been met. So everything from here on out is that cherry on top. Now, again, those expectations have been raised due to how great this Bills team has been. But you have to like where the future of this team's heading. And, I've said all season long that I did not want to sign Josh Allen to a contract extension until he won a playoff game. Well, check that box, okay? I am ready to sign Josh Allen to a contract extension this offseason. Now, what I want the Bills to do is not have it start until the end of his rookie deal, so we still get the advantage of having him for a low price this coming season with the salary cap being the way it is. But I'm ready to sign Josh Allen to a contract extension at this point. Genesis says Steelers next week is my guess. Well, that's where that's what's favored right now. I'm actually glad the fumble didn't count. Never would have heard the end of it, just like the Rams call at the end of the game. You know what? It was a fumble, period. It was a fumble. I don't care what people would say. There are still people complaining about that Gabe Davis catch before the end of the half where he toe tapped. They said he was out of bounds. I don't care. It was a catch. If they ruled, I personally think that wherever the call on the field was for that one, it would have stayed as it was. It was just too close to call. And you know what? There's plenty of those in the NFL. You want to talk about something, Colts fans? Let's talk about the fact that you got an extra 2 seconds every single snap on the play clock. But you know what? Funny thing about that is it ended up hurting them, because on that 4th down play where we caught them jumping off sides, there was 0 on the play clock because the refs were giving both sides that extra second. When the play clock ran down to 0, the defensive end saw the 1 went because he figured it would be at 0 before he crossed the line of scrimmage. Well, the refs gave us that extra half second. Boom, flag in the air, free 5 yards, free 1st down. Next game is the Nick Wright catch of mustard game. Let's win it. Well, that bet is now square, right? That bet that he made with Colin Cowherd, they said if they one game only, it's even. So right now we're at even. So yes, next game is the Nick Wright catch of mustard game. But listen, Joe, please explain how you think we can beat anybody. Because this Bills team, they won a game ugly yesterday, right? And I think that this coaching staff recognizes that. And I think these players recognize that. I think Andre Roberts will have a much better game next week, no matter who we play. I think the field position battle will be a lot different next week, no matter who we play. I think next week is going to be a lot like the Patriots game week 8, where we were all saying in Bills Mafia, oh, the Bills can't run the ball. And listen, it's going to be colder in Buffalo next week. I've looked at the weather ahead. It's supposed to snow on Saturday. It's supposed to be cold and windy on Sunday. So I feel like we're going to come out. This Buffalo Bills offense is going to come out and try to establish the run. I know it's going to make a lot of you mad to hear that, but if you have Antonio Williams, then I don't want to hear it because a lot of you were aching for Antonio Williams all day yesterday. So if we have Antonio Williams, we bring him in to run the ball. So anyway, I think that we're going to do, the Bears going for a deep shot, and it's incomplete. I think that we might run the ball a little bit more. I think that Josh Allen feels like with that fumble, with that pass to John Brown that was almost intercepted, that he has some things he needs to clean up. I think we're going to get a much better performance from this Buffalo Bills team next week. That's my personal opinion. The Colts played their perfect game, and we played mediocre, and we still won. Again, we played the Colts game, and we still won it. So that's what's important to me. We played the Colts game. The Colts won time possession. The Colts were winning time of possession 2-1 or almost 2-1 before halftime. And we brought that back, made it a little closer, but we were playing the Colts game. And like I said, we still won it, and that's all that matters. So guys, that's what I want to talk about. You want to talk about that fumble? Man, again, if you watched the live stream yesterday, when the Bills finally knocked down that Hail Mary, I took a sigh of relief. I put my hands out in victory, and I said, the Bills win. And then it took me a second. There was a pause, and I said, again, because the Bills won that game twice yesterday. And listen, the fact that there was such a long break, I was kind of happy about that because that meant the defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier, huddled up the defense and said, guys, they're not reversing the decision. It's going to stand. We need to win this game again. And they did. And that's all we need. An upset versus KC would be awesome. Playoffs, though, through Buffalo. Yeah, if the Chiefs lose next week to the Ravens or the Browns, whoever they would play, then yes, the playoffs would go 100% through Buffalo. The AFC Championship game would be in Buffalo. But I'm not worried about that. Right now, I'm worried about the divisional round. That's all that matters to me. And again, we play either the Baltimore Ravens, who won earlier today, or we'll play the Pittsburgh Steelers if the Steelers beat the Browns later tonight. After the game tonight, join Hashtag Sports for their post-game coverage. They always do a great job. Mario and Paul love them to death, so make sure you told them that I gave them a mention and that I sent you if you go over there and enjoy their post-game. If I have time, I'll join you guys as well over there. But again, thank you so much for joining me for this post-game edition of Believers Talk, where we celebrate. We're celebrating, guys. I know we talk about some of the good, some of the bad, but hey, we're on to the divisional round. This is 25 years in the making. Let's have a fun week. Let's have a fun Victory Sunday, and then let's focus on whoever that is next week, our next opponent, next man up. I look forward to it. Again, as Genesis says, thank you very much. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Again, join me throughout the week. Keep you covered on all Buffalo sports and Buffalo Bills news. I will be streaming the game, Joseph Rodriguez. Next week, I will be streaming the game. Whoever the Bills play, whether it be the Ravens, whether it be the Steelers, whether it be on Saturday, whether it be on Sunday, I will be streaming it right here as I've done all season long. Every single Buffalo Bills game, giving live play-by-play and reaction. I can't show the game, but I'll be streaming them. So I will talk to you all soon. Have you covered all week long. I look forward to it. Let's go get that win next week, as Brian Converse says. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.